Yeah, back again. So we're going to chat music.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a little look into some music. I actually went way back. I went Ancestral Man style.
Oh.
And you know, like the origins of music and how Ancestral Man would have used music and...
Yeah, well, I had a look at that too, mate, because that's what we're all about, Ancestral Man, and how he relates to modern day living.
How did it all begin? You know, how did they get music going? You know, were they banging sticks together or singing or...
Funny you say that, Chris, because I found
bit of voice.
A study saying that evidence of music was dating back to the mid to upper Paleolithic period, about 300,000 to 500,000 years ago, where they found bone flutes.
Yeah.
So hollowed out bones with holes in them.
Yep.
And mammoth tusks.
Yeah. I reckon it's probably before that too, right? They would have maybe even they would have banged some stones together.
Yeah.
But it would have been sort of communication but I reckon it would have been more about bringing people together.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Come around the fire. I read something about, you know, they used to go in caves and they'd bang stalactites.
Yeah, I heard that.
I think they called them rock gongs, and they'd bang these.
Not allowed to touch those bad boys these days.
You can't now. But
even the echoing within the cave
the resonance
created
of the cave, it would have been cool, yeah.
like a little ancestral amphitheatre.
Yeah, sound healing kind of.
Yeah,
yeah,
and they reckon, like you say, dancing was a big part of ancestral life.
Yeah.
So to have dance to generate some sort of will within the body to move in a dancing fashion, you needed some sort of rhythm, sound, didn't you?
Yeah.
So it could have just been percussion beats, like you say, clapping or banging some wood together or some sort of hollowed out material to create a percussion.
Yeah.
And to allow dance.
I think it's cool that. I think it's cool the way, you know, even instruments would have evolved, and then getting the modern guitar, you know, having string and, you know, the acoustics and how they made it, just the whole evolution of instruments over time.
Yeah.
You know, like a bone flute is the early remnants of any sort of flute.
Saxophone.
Yeah.
I love saxophone.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And a saxophone, how did that come about?
Yeah.
Well, let's get whatever it is, brass copper tube with a big thing on the end that projects the sound, and then you've got buttons that change the notes. It's crazy to think that how clever humans are, and they developed those kind of things and then put them all together to create. If you look at orchestral music, you're like, that's 40 to 100 instruments all playing together in unison. It's crazy. It's amazing to think that humans do that.
It is, and it's something that, like, you just as you just explained it and put it in that way. It's not until you hear it like that you really appreciate music, and when it all is put together like an orchestra. It's and music plays a massive part in our lives. Hey, I think you said in a couple of podcasts ago, Smithy, it evokes emotion, and like it's like a time machine. I think you said you had a quote.
100%. Yeah,
it's like a time machine that sends you back to time.
Yep.
You can remember specifics of when you heard that song.
Oh yeah,
or
it
doing
puts you back
something
at that place.
I remember doing this at this time. When you hear, you get nostalgic when you hear a song. You know?
Most definitely.
Yeah. Well, even going back to the ancestral thing, that they also asked the question whether ancestral men would have sung. And they reckon that, like going back to fossil evidence, to identify the horseshoe-shaped, hyoid bone
of the jaw
in your throat, and that's similar to modern man. And they identified that about 530,000 years ago. So that's a similar structure that allows us to sing, I guess, maybe change pitch or change notes of our voice.
So there was evidence that they had the anatomy to sing.
Yes. Whether or not they did or not,
it's hard to know. Yeah,
it's hard to know. But
surely,
you'd think so.
Like they'd be like, oh, they had legs, but they didn't walk.
Yeah.
Like, all right. They had hands, they didn't really use them. They just detached their body, just flapping around.
If you think about it,
I feel like they would have sung.
Yeah, maybe
wasn't much to do back in the day.
Yeah.
a mother would have soothed the baby,
Yeah.
humming or
Yep.
singing,
Yep.
some soothing note.
Yeah.
I'm sure that would
Yep.
have been done for millions of years.
Yeah.
I reckon.
So it's there,
Yeah.
whatever that.
I asked myself the question, what is music?
Yeah, what did
Yeah.
you come up with?
Well, I come up with this guy's quote, and this guy, his name is Jeremy Montague, and he's
Hang on, sound that conveys emotion.
boom.
Oh,
I thought that just
Jeremy.
summed it right up.
yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah,
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 old Montague.
yeah. Sound that conveys emotion.
Yeah,
So good, and like you just reminded me of that when you said about a mother humming to a child. Just that sound
yeah,
creates an emotion of comfort
Yeah.
for the baby, and also maybe comfort for the mother.
You think about the music that goes on now. Well, maybe the '90s, Smithy. That had some emotion.
Wow.
You know?
That's about as far back as my research went. Was started at about 1990 and I moved on from there.
Ended at 1999.
Late
Finished around,
89.
I went to the year 2000.
Late '89 to.
But that's that thing about sound and emotion, though. That is so true. Like, it's even true if you watch a movie and the movie has got a powerful soundtrack attached to it.
Yeah,
The emotion of what you're watching is so much more.
yeah,
Especially like if it's sad or something like that, and some track like kicks in at a really like emotional time during the film, it just takes it to like the next level.
yeah, exactly. You try watching the same scene with the sound out.
Exactly. It's not even. It's completely dissimilar. Like there's just it's flat. There's no. It just adds a real punch to it.
Yeah.
Real punch of emotion.
It
So
does.
That's spot on. That's a really good quote. I've never heard that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I've always,
He continues. I'll continue with the rest of his quote.
yeah. Sorry, I cut you off. I really
No, that's cool.
stole
No,
your
that was,
thoughts. Yeah, right,
mate,
yeah.
that one sentence was what I was going to say, but I also just found this interesting. He says, the major reason that music arose and persists may be that it brings people together. And so his quote says, music leads to bonding, such as a bonding between mother and child or bonding between groups. Music keeps workers happy when doing repetitive and otherwise boring work and helps everyone to move together, increasing the force of their work. Dancing or singing together before a hunt or warfare binds participants into a cohesive group. He concluded with, it has even been suggested that music, in causing such bonding, created not only the family but society itself, bringing individuals together who might otherwise have led solitary lives.
Well, it's probably that last bit's pretty good, isn't it? Bringing everyone together.
Yeah,
I reckon that's what Ancestral Man would have done. Get everyone around the fire.
yeah,
Sing some songs.
yeah,
Communication,
yeah.
sense of belonging, tribe.
Yeah.
You know.
probably
You
would have G'd each other up before battle,
Yeah, would have been.
going out to battle another tribe or
It
something.
would have been
like
war
yeah.
songs.
that. Or afterwards, celebration or commiseration or
Yeah.
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
And you sort of think about modern day life, how we sort of still practice those things sort of a little bit in our own lives, like around the dinner table. You generally you sit with your family, you have dinner, and you generally have some nice background music going, something chilled out, bit of Buddha bar, bit of
Is it a playlist?
chill out tunes or something like that. Yeah, and then you do a workout, you get a hard workout going, you get some pump up music going, but a bit like going to warfare, that sort of thing. You know, your boxers or your UFC fighters coming out to the ring for their fight, they've got a song playing that's pumping them up.
Yeah.
You know, shit like that. You got people getting married, you know, or you know, their wedding dance. They've got a song that has brought them together. That might have been their first date song or something like that, you know. Or you have, you know, dun, 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 the walk down the aisle sort of music.
Yep.
There's music to signify lots of different activities that we pursue as humans.
Yeah.
We even have music at funerals.
Yeah.
You know, like someone's couple
Powerful.
of favourite songs or whatever,
Yeah.
or if they're getting cremated, like as the casket goes into the, you know, behind the little conveyor belt thing into the fire, there's often like music and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you guys thought about that? That's often a question, you know, when you're having a few beers or something and you think, what would be your funeral song?
Yeah. Oh, I couldn't give you a specific, but I've definitely thought about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've thought about it from time to time.
Yeah.
It'd be
I've got
something-
one that I know definite. I'd like Cortez Iran. I don't know if you've heard that. It's from the soundtrack of Black Hawk Down.
Oh,
It's I think it's a Celtic Irish accent that it's sung. It's a beautiful song.
Right.
I think that word Cortez Iran means coming closer to you or something.
You really want to make people cry at your wedding, at your funeral?
Nah, it's just it's an uplifting song.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's not like a depressing song.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's a nice song.
Yeah.
I don't want people to cry.
Oh, they will, Dave. You're very
of course.
well loved.
Of course.
No doubt. No doubt they will.
But yeah, you have to have a bit of an uplifting song too, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Celebrate the life and all that, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a bit more, but let's go away from the funerals.
Well, my wife and I, when we walked into our reception after our wedding, we had Gonna Fly Now,
Oh, yeah?
Rocky Balboa.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
No Irene Cara, mate?
No Irene Cara. No. But music's important, and I actually I did musical education for my kids. So when my kids were in primary school, we've got about a 10-minute ride to school and back from our house. So I thought I'm going to utilise that time wisely. So I did music ed. So I went through the alphabet from A to Z, and I exposed them to on each trip. So a trip from home to school, the first letter A. Let's say it was Aerosmith. I played a few songs of Aerosmith and I gave them a couple of little easy facts for them to remember, considering they were only in primary school. And then I'd go through that whole month of that whatever letter. And at the end of the month, I'd give them a quiz. So I'd ask them 10 questions.
Homework?
Yeah, 10 questions. And they were pretty easy.
If they didn't get it, they walked to school.
Honestly, it's amazing how often they got the question right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I'd often play the song. Some questions might just be playing the song and identify the artist, and they'd pick it.
Yeah.
But it also exposed them to bands that they love now. So they love Bob Marley, they love AC/DC, they love Metallica, and Pearl Jam.
Yeah.
So they were bands that really stuck out for them, and I guess I probably really pushed those bands as well because I love them.
Yeah, it's interesting how you influence your kids, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've got the same with my kids. I didn't do the education, but that's a good one. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I brought the questions in, so later on we can go through some questions.
Little quiz.
Yeah. Just which Australian band's name is named after a swimming stroke? Freestyle.
Australian Crawl.
Australian Crawl.
There you go.
Which American male singer is known as the Piano Man?
Oh, Billy Joel.
Billy Joel. So, yeah, just a little questions there.
Two to me, none to you, Smith.
Right on. Yeah. Do you know what? I'm terrible with music quiz. Like, I know what I like. I'm even terrible with, names of songs.
Yeah.
I know bands that I love and, they've got tons of songs, but I've never been down to, just remembering the name of every single song. Some people are like, oh, yeah, that album, that was amazing. They'd reel off, in order. Yeah, this was the debut single they released. And then I'm like, yeah, I probably name 3 or 4.
Do you have that embarrassing thing where you don't know the name, so you have to sing it?
Oh, yeah, I could sing every word of all the songs I love. And music's one of those things you never forget, right?
Sing it for me.
You could not think of a song or not hear a song for 20 years. And then if you somehow miraculously heard it, you would just remember it. You'd remember the tune. You'd remember the words.
Yeah.
There's not that many things that you could say that about.
Nah, definitely nothing at school.
Nah. You wouldn't be like, oh, yeah, I watched that TV episode that time and the guy said this or whatever.
Yeah.
I guess music has repetition, so you hear it a few times, but just that melody, I reckon, just brings you back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's melodies that are timeless, that will just forever, you hear it and you just start singing to it.
Yeah.
They're just, well, I brought some CDs too, just to
sick.
Because I remember back in the day, you'd go to the record shop, you'd buy a CD. So I've got U2, Joshua Tree here, Red Hot Chili Peppers. Oh yeah, Blood Sugar Magic, Blood Sugar.
Oh yep.
Sex Magic.
Soundgarden, self-titled, great album. Fat of the Land, Prodigy.
Fat of the Land.
Man, that was a great album. Smack My Bitch Up, Breathe, Diesel Power, some awesome songs. Remember Smashing Pumpkins, the double album, Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness?
Yep,
what
that was
a
good.
Classic. Pearl Jam.
Oh, yeah.
Their first album. Was that called 10 or just Pearl Jam?
10, yep.
10, yeah.
Was 10 their first album?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep. Def Leppard, Hysteria, great album. Great 80s album.
I got into Def Leppard. Yeah.
If you got a Sheila home, you chuck on Love Bites and you're a shoo-in. Bon Jovi, Slippery When Wet, great album. Nirvana, Nevermind.
Classic. Just look at the cover on that bad boy.
Look at the cover of
covers
Guns N'
in
Roses,
history.
Appetite for Destruction. What an awesome cover.
Yep, no doubt.
In Excess Kick, beautiful album.
So do you know what year these were released? So if you look at Nirvana, Pearl Jam, there was a Soundgarden album, there was a Guns N' Roses album, and it might have even been like Rage Against the Machine's first one.
Yep.
They were, might have been Metallica, Black Album. They were all released within 21 days of each other in 1991.
No
it was
way.
like crazy. You know, like it's a stack like this.
Yeah.
Are
you sure? I thought Guns N' Roses was 88, 89.
I thought Soundgarden's first one might have been
Use
earlier
Your
too.
Illusion 2 or something.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But the classic albums all released in 91 just after each other.
Early
Really?
to mid-90s was a primo time. So if you drew a line from like, say, 1990 to about 94, 95, far out, some awesome music came out.
There's some Green Day, there's early punk that was really good.
Yeah.
Came on the back of some good
Radiohead,
70s
early
and 80s
90s.
punk. Yeah, just
pumped out some classics.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I remember
Some
like
awesome techno started coming out.
you buy a CD, you'd go home and you'd listen to it. So if I open up the Nirvana Nevermind album, pull out the sleeve here. You know, you've got a bit of photo stuff of the artists. You've got lyrics here. You'd open it up and you'd start singing and learning the lyrics straight away to the album, you know. And I guess that's why, you know, we learned all the words to songs because you not only listened but you read and you the CD or the LP or the record was like it's a piece of art.
And you play through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And look, if we're talking about album covers, that one there, Nirvana Nevermind, has got to be up there with one of the best album covers ever.
It's got to be one of the most iconic, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, everyone recognises that, I reckon. You see that, you go, oh, yeah,
Definitely.
that was Nirvana.
Yeah. What other album covers?
It's a bit much. I didn't like the nudity.
Well, apparently that
Apparently
dude,
neither did the dude,
apparently that dude who's the baby there, he tried to chase Nirvana for money, for compensation for them using his image on that album.
Yeah.
And I think he never
up
did.
until recently.
Yeah.
They're still chasing.
Yeah. But I don't think he got anything. He got nothing for it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I think, how did Nirvana get hold of the photo?
I don't know. His parents might have had to.
Yeah, from his parents.
Yeah.
Things are all a bit more innocent in the early 90s, weren't they? Like, stuff wasn't so sort of like regimented and not as many rules. Like, they just did stuff like that.
But wouldn't you think, as that dude, like, wouldn't you think just being on the cover of one of the most famous albums of all time would just suffice?
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to go chasing money. You could go around the world saying, "Oh yeah, hi, I'm
remember that
whatever
baby?
his name is." Yeah, I'm the baby with his dick out on Nirvana.
I could say that. He could say that.
Chasing
Nobody
the dollar
know.
bill.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, you could do.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah. Classic.
What is that?
But hey, I put down the Rage Against the Machine album, their self-titled album with the burning Buddha, Buddhist monk on that album. That is one of the most graphic album covers of all time.
That is a great album.
It's a great album.
Probably one of the best.
Yeah. They're an awesome band, so powerful,
Unbelievable.
big political statements.
Yeah. You talk about music in film. If you, at the end of the first Matrix film,
Oh, yeah.
Neo hangs up the phone and Rage Against the Machine Wake Up plays. It's
Oh,
like
wow.
as he puts down the phone, it goes boom, doo-doo-doo, you know, like
Yeah, right.
powerful stuff.
Yeah.
But great
Super
band.
powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4 amazing albums.
Yeah. You mentioned in a couple of podcasts ago, Jonesy, The Clash, The London Calling, with him smashing the guitar. Great album cover.
Yeah.
Obviously, Beatles, Abbey Road, you know, the crosswalking.
Yeah.
So that's obviously an infamous
yeah.
album cover, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
You got Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. Their Animals album as well. That's the one with Battersea Park Power Station on it. That's a pretty iconic album cover. What else we got? Iron Maiden. I think we talked about them.
Eddie.
Eddie,
Maiden.
the head, whatever they call him, the skeleton.
Yeah.
There's the
Scared the shit out of me, that thing.
the Trooper album where he's like a US soldier carrying a flag and he's like all bones and whatever. And then there's the album Seventh Son of the Seventh Son or something. That's where he's half torso and he's holding some things.
As a young bloke, I couldn't listen to Iron Maiden because they were pretty big when I was sort of single figure age.
Yeah.
So under 10,
Yeah.
that scared me.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's got to be bad music. I can't. But now it's awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I got over the fear of that.
Yeah.
of Eddie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing how your tastes of music change over time as well. I guess over the last few years, I've become more inclined for heavy metal, which I never was. I got into blues as well. I really love blues. Muddy Waters, really dug his sound. And then even getting into a little bit of 1950s music as well.
Oh, yeah.
No,
Like late 50s when they were sort of
Yeah, well, just 50s in general. I've got a playlist on my Spotify, and I guess we talk about music changing and albums going and cassettes going and CDs going, and now we stream all our music. But I love my Spotify. I've got all of my music in one app.
It's pretty handy.
It's cool, eh?
Yeah. Well, it gives you suggestions as well. So sometimes it'll pop up a song that you hadn't thought of, you just completely lost touch with.
Yeah.
And it'll pop it up. You're like, oh, man, I remember that.
Yep.
You play it, just rock out to it.
I do like sitting down with some vinyl. It's like a little quiet space, couple of chairs, vinyl there, sit down.
Expensive these days to buy vinyl.
Crackle. Oh, man. Yeah.
Super expensive.
It's I thought I read somewhere that vinyl sales outstripped CD sales for the first time since
Wow.
Really?
the early 80s or whenever CDs come out. Yeah. Because anyone that's old remembers vinyl and buys it.
Yep.
Whereas all the young kids are now on Spotify and so that's how they're getting their music.
Music on vinyl is pretty cool, like the crackle, the sound.
Yeah.
I remember you'd be at like a 90s thing and the DJ would be like spinning the decks and you could hear it like jump every now and then and shit like that. Like just classic, like just real, scratching and all that sort of stuff. Like just real iconic epic music with blemishes, which makes it better.
Yeah. So I wonder how people that listen to the album like that with the little scratches and the blemishes on it now listen to, say we're talking about a person who was, in their 20s and the 50s and listen to the 50s rock and roll and had the vinyl with the scratches and stuff. Now they listen to it on Spotify with it all being remastered.
Yeah.
I wonder whether they really sort of like appreciate the new sound or don't, or prefer the old sound. Be interesting to know.
I think depending on the song, sometimes it enhances it to have that sort of rawness to it.
Yeah.
I reckon sometimes if it's real crisp, it's nice as well.
Yeah.
That having the mono and stereo sound coming through different speakers and headphones is quite cool.
Yeah.
Even the technology of vinyl, you think about it, there's music pressed into it.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Just that little needle dragging across the vinyl.
Makes it play and you can amplify it.
Insane.
What?
Yeah.
How does that happen? And that's been, there's been vinyl since
early days.
That's been those old school ones where you used to wind them up and there was that big sort of golden horn thing on the sides, the gramophone. Used to amplify the sound out. Like it's obviously just travels up that little needle. The vibration of the music
That's a great question, CJ.
Yeah.
But I guess you could apply the same question to a disc.
Oh, yeah.
How does a laser pick up these sounds and tones and voices on a shiny bit of disc, a bit of plastic? Yeah.
Yep.
It's interesting. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
It is,
I find it.
Cassette tapes are cool as well.
They were cool.
Making up mixtapes back in the day and that thing like rewinding the thing back with the pen inside the little thing that we were talking about. Shit like that.
Lining up two so you could record on one and, waiting for it to play on the radio. And
even like having a ghetto blaster.
Yeah.
That was the definition of cool back in the 80s.
Oh, definitely not. I didn't have one of them.
I had one, but I wasn't cool.
Yeah.
We just recently went up to Exmouth with the family. We drove, so we got a 13-hour drive. And I thought, I'm going to grab a handful of CDs that I believe are like a storybook listen. So I reckon back in the day, you'd buy a CD and a CD or an album had its own character. So I reckon songs were laid in absolute plan for the listener to sort of go through a journey.
It's art, like you were saying before.
Yeah. Which I think
the way they lay out the songs so that they all flow into.
I mean, that's why you have producers of CDs. So they produce the album to be the most fluid way of listening to it and the most enjoyable way. Anyway, I thought I'll get some CDs and I'll have them in the car for the kids to listen to, and we'll share the experience of listening to a full album. Because I don't reckon kids do that much these days.
Yep.
It's a lot of singles. They release one song. Yeah. You get the single. It's catchy, cool.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have that.
You might not get around to listening to the album when it comes out. There might not even be an album. It might just be an EP.
Is that not to derail you here, but is that our attention span?
Yeah, potentially.
We've got one song and we want it to be the greatest, and then another one that's very good on top of that. They're not saying that albums had filler songs in them.
Oh, they definitely did.
Yeah.
Don't you reckon?
Yeah, but that made kind of it part of the whole experience.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes you find some gold. One of the ones that never got released as a single or anything like that.
Yeah. Awesome I remember that was what you used to do. You'd wait for it to come out, is it going to come out? Its release date is this date. okay, I'm going to go down to whatever it was, Sanity Music, Sanity, buy a CD, you'd come home and you'd open it up and you'd sit down for an hour, 2, 3, and just listen to it and read the lyrics and work out what they were saying.
Yeah.
But now you're getting one song.
Yeah.
Not listening to the album. Sorry, Dave.
No, that's all right. You've just thrown me actually back to my childhood. We down at Forestfield Forum, we used to have a music store, and the dude that owned it, I wish I could go back now and talk with him as an adult and know his music experience, because he loved his music and he was just a dude. He owned the shop. And I guess he just must have been frustrated with people like me coming in. Like, I'd come up and I'm spending $30 on a CD and I'm 15, 16 years of age. $30 is a lot of money. And I say, oh, is this any good? And he'd be like, well, depends if you like grunge, or depends if you like rock and roll, depends if you like this. There's no, is this any good? It depends on.
See now. Hey? Back then, it was buy it and find out.
That's right.
Remember back in the day, if you went to most music stores, they'd let you play a bit of it, over the speaker in the store.
Yeah.
You'd go up and you could G it up and you could listen to a bit of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Like, we'll try before you buy, because we couldn't do the little Spotify thing now where you have a listen and have a little sample.
And now, that Spotify series on Netflix was pretty good, how they invented Spotify and how the big war between Spotify streaming service against record sales for artists and stuff like that. There's a massive big conflict, and obviously over time Spotify and streaming services won.
Yeah. Because there's a big thing with royalties, wasn't there? And
there was.
Artists getting their fair share of money.
And I'm not sure what royalties now artists get through Spotify, and I dare say it's fuck all.
You think it would be similar to like a play on a radio station or something like that? Like radio stations used to pay artists back in the day a certain amount every time they played a track, maybe.
You'd think so.
Like that every time it gets streamed, or
Yeah.
You think it'd be good for the artists though, because people stream a lot on Spotify. Like, I spend half my life on Spotify, either listening to tunes or.
I think if you're popular, it is. I thought it was maybe at 5 cents a play or something.
Was it?
And you had to have, I don't know.
I feel like if you were a nobody artist as well though, and you didn't sort of like put out a lot of stuff, like release it properly, it's a way that you can get accessed like a little bit more inexpensively. Like, you're not necessarily having to release, X amount of albums, which costs a lot of money to get them pressed or whatever. Like, yeah.
So going back to that story on our trip to Exmouth, some of the albums that I thought my kids might like as a story to listen to were Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction, Pearl Jam 10, In Excess Kick, Jimmy Barnes' Working Class Man, great album, Linkin Park, Hybrid Theory.
Oh yeah.
I grabbed Powderfinger, Odyssey No. 5.
That was a good album.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Great album, yep.
U2, Joshua Tree, Nirvana, Nevermind. I even grabbed Sonic Temple from The Cult, and I grabbed Californication from Red Hot Chili Peppers. I love that album.
Yeah, that was a goodie.
Yeah, and also Soundgarden, Super Unknown. I just thought those albums there all have a great flow to them. And the thing was...
no Prodigy, mate. You were a big Prodigy fan back in the day, weren't you?
Oh, yeah, definitely. But I just thought... on a drive with the kids, they might not really get into.
Yeah. Oh, fair call.
But as it worked out, the kids sat in the back with their iPads and their headphones on and just watched movies for the whole trip.
Dave was just rocking out up front.
And my wife she put her a podcast on that she was listening to. So I was just listening to these albums all on my own.
She was probably listening to Modern Ancestral, man. So
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But it was just so cool, just going back to listening to these albums and the flow of them, and just, it's so enjoyable listening to an album.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you can do that on a big drive to Exmouth, can't you?
Yeah, well, my car's still got the old CD drive in it, so I was able to open up the cover, put the CD in. The covers were a bit of a pain in the ass, to be honest. I didn't know where to put them. My car was packed with gear, and we've got to carry around 15 CD covers.
Well, that is the convenience that we've got with Spotify these days, isn't it?
Yeah.
Remember back in the day, we'd have a CD wallet in the car.
Yeah,
so
and it used to go on your sun visor.
Yeah.
I had the most epic collection of CDs in this wallet, and my car got broken into, and they stole nothing except my CD wallet.
Oh.
It would have had, I don't know, over 100 albums in there. So then, sadly, I think I've still got them. I've got all these covers with no discs in them. Well, it broke my heart. It honestly broke my heart. I had such a good collection of music because I was that kid that used to go down to Sanity or whatever, Central Station in Melbourne or different places and buy all the music. And all different genres like grunge and like dance and all sorts of different stuff, and just gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and stuff I don't think you'd find it anymore if you tried to rebuy the disc. Obviously had the iconic ones, but some of the lesser known ones just it was a tragedy.
It is interesting how much you can get on Spotify.
Oh,
there's a couple of
so much,
even local Perth bands that I used to follow back in the day that I remember going to the White Sands down here, in a little punk circle, run around, with 10 other people. They've uploaded their gear onto Spotify and you can find it. They would have had 100 people that followed them in, 1996, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, mate, because there's one song that I really loved in the 90s, and it's called Inside, and it's from a band, Inside, Australian band.
This is good radio.
Yeah, this is great. No, I'll come back to you.
I find everyone's music taste interesting. It's really hard to judge someone's music taste, I reckon.
I can judge them.
And people do, don't they?
What's your favourite band? Backstreet Boys. Get the fuck out.
that was the one I was going to say. I think mine was going to be NSYNC.
But New Kids on the Block.
Yeah. I was never one of those people that, even back then, when it was cool only to listen to grunge or heavy metal or punk rock or whatever it was. Cool. If you wanna listen to Backstreet Boys, knock yourself out.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. 100%.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Not my scene. No. I'm not going to judge you, but
probably judge them a little bit.
Yeah. A little. But everyone, it's crazy that there's probably not. I would say almost everyone in the world, maybe that's an exaggeration, but everyone in the world loves music.
I reckon.
Even if you don't have access to technology, you would have access to voice, you'd have access to banging.
Some form of music,
yeah. Yep. There's just so many people, so many different, like everything in life, I guess. Everyone's got a different way about going about things, and same with music. Everyone's got their own sort of tastes. And it's interesting to what era you grew up in really influences you, and I guess your friends that you're around and the scene that you're in, I would.
Because it does take you back to sort of like the prime of your life in a way, I reckon.
That's right, yeah.
Music. So depending on when you grew up, what your influences were, you can definitely like music from a lot of different eras, but I feel like, when you grew up and you're sort of like in your prime, is usually like what you defer to as your sort of favourite period of time.
Yeah. And I liked that various different things had music that went along with it. Surfing, bodyboarding, skateboarding had sort of, fast punk music. It was great,
Stiltskin. The band called Stiltskin had a song called Inside.
I remember Stiltskin.
It's a sick song, hey? But on Spotify, you can only find it live. It doesn't have the recorded version of it. And
can you give us a little bit? I'm not sure about. I know about Stiltskin. Maybe I know it once it comes out. Let's go.
Yeah. I'm going to put you guys on the spot here. What was your favourite decade for music? If you had to, just one that beat all the others in your mind?
90s. And like you say, 2000s were pretty good too for me.
Yeah, early 2000s were good, yeah.
In my 20s, that was pretty good. And that was when I could afford to go to watch music, and I went to a lot of festivals.
Yeah.
Went to see a lot of bands, a lot of local Perth bands.
Did they get big day outs over here in WA? Because I was in Victoria back in the day.
Mate.
Oh, no.
No, but that's funny you say that, because
did you guys have electricity in the 90s?
A lot of big artists aren't coming to WA now.
Nah, yeah.
Taylor Swift, just recently.
Shame.
Yeah. Paul McCartney's another one.
Yeah.
They're just sort of going, nah, we're not coming.
Yep.
Paul McCartney was saying that he's not coming to Perth because he needs to bring 100 buses with his stage show across the Nullarbor, and it just costs too much. Like, holy shit.
When you're worth like 100, million
but
dollars.
That was the other thing,
right?
right?
Too hard.
Yeah, but maybe just to give your fans a little bit of something, you take a loss.
Yeah.
And I don't think Taylor Swift and Paul McCartney are short of money.
Nah.
And Paul McCartney's putting up a AI hologram of John Lennon.
Yeah.
And the AI, it's a new song that he's released, but the AI is singing as John Lennon's voice with the hologram.
That's not cool.
Crazy.
I don't like it.
No.
Rooster.
Mate, I'd have to say, only because it's in my formative teenage years where a lot of like
But isn't that great? That's
girlfriend,
I reckon we'd be the same.
boyfriend, like mates.
Oh.
The 80s were my teenage years.
Yeah.
The 90s would have to be a very, very close second.
Yeah.
But the 80s, I mean, I went to, that's where I started going to bands, concerts. So we went and saw Hoodoo Gurus play at the Peninsula Hotel on some New Year's Eve. That's when I first kissed my wife.
Yeah.
Hunters and Collectors at pubs. I went and saw Jimmy Barnes at the Entertainment Centre in 88, 89. In Excess Kick, saw them at Entertainment Centre.
Yep. So you're sort of into rock more than metal.
Yeah, but also loved the pop rock as well.
Yeah.
So I was, big fan of
Backstreet Boys, probably.
Yeah.
no, but classic 80s songs that are, well, I don't know, folklore. Like you got U2 back in the 80s. A lot of great love stories. Like Bon Jovi was big in the 80s.
I mean, people would also describe U2 as a 90s band.
Yeah.
Depending on which part of them
definitely.
you got into. So,
All 2000s.
Dire Straits.
Yeah. They've been around.
Yeah.
Dire Straits.
But
classic
if you look at the U2 released a greatest hits album early 2000s.
Yep.
And it had The Sweetest Thing, which I think was a single they'd written at the time. That album had some cracking songs on it.
Cracking, yeah. I got really into that album a couple of years ago, and I just played the shit out of it for a couple
Well,
of
that's
months.
funny you say that, mate, because I was looking
I know
at
greatest hits, if you put them in there as a favourite album, it's a bit much.
Well, I made a list of best ofs, and that was one of them.
Albums.
The U2 one was that it's called the best of 1980 and 1990.
Yeah. It's like gold, I think.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Bob Marley and the Wailers, that Legend album, that's a classic best of. Jimi Hendrix, Ultimate Experience.
How many albums did those guys have, those two?
Bob Marley and the Wailers? Oh, heaps, man.
Did they?
Yeah. You go through their collection on Spotify, there's heaps of albums. But I wouldn't listen to them all. I just listen to the greatest hits.
When did he
die? Both died early. That's all.
Died pretty young, didn't he?
Well, Jimi Hendrix is one of the 27 Club.
Yeah.
So let's have a look at that.
Was Marley in that?
Nah.
Was
I
he
think so.
older?
Jim Morrison.
Yeah.
Amy Winehouse, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Kurt Cobain, Brian Jones, which I didn't know Brian Jones was the actual original singer of the Rolling Stones.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
Not that I'm a huge Stones fan.
He had a fallout with the band over creative writing process, whatever, and that's when Mick Jagger took over the lead singer role.
Wow.
But they all are the 27. There's more. There's other dudes, but they're the ones that. It's strange. Hey, they die at 27. Oh, Bon Scott. When did he die? Was he 27? Nah.
I think he was older than that.
Yeah. He died in his own vomit, didn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, you live in a lifestyle if you're a rock star back then, aren't you? It's not,
Well, Jim Morrison died in a bath, didn't he? Didn't he drown in a bath in Paris? Went to his grave in Paris. Jim Morrison.
Yeah, okay.
He was buried in Paris.
Yep.
Where he died.
Yep.
Michael Hutchins.
Michael Hutchins, I was just thinking about him. He would have been older for sure.
Yeah, he was older.
Yeah.
He had what a great way to die, that one. Eh?
I don't know if I want to die doing that.
Nah.
No. But you're running pretty close to the fine line.
If it floats your boat, I mean,
hanging off a doorknob with your necktie.
Maybe when you're just a rock star, you just need to do shit like that to get
get that dopamine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But there's a thing about that, isn't there? Like orgasming while you're getting like asphyxiated,
choked,
choked or short of breath. There's supposed to be a bit of a high.
We're not going to judge. Whatever.
No, hey, look,
can't
man,
say
whatever
I've
you
gone
do.
right into it, but
No.
yeah.
Yeah, Amy Winehouse.
Thanks, all kinds.
That doco about her, that was pretty sad. She was pretty well exploited by her boyfriend.
Yeah.
Lots of exploitation in music. Hey?
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. You hear all the stories over the years of people that have been exploited. Even, not that I'm a huge fan, but Britney Spears. You hear her story of like how much her dad and her family were controlling her.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, they reckon she was a victim of the MK Ultra experiments. Like they see interviews of her like twitching and like being really like spaced out, not just like drug affected, but it looks like she's being manipulated somehow.
Right. Yeah.
Well, then the latest one, you got the Elvis movie. How much was that poor bastard exploited? Man,
that was really sad.
It's a sad story, eh?
Yeah, sure is. Playing that bloody casino for the last, for his last year or two, whatever it was.
It makes Jailhouse Rock song seem quite appropriate because he was basically playing in a jail.
Yeah.
Wasn't he? He was playing in that casino to rid the Colonel's gambling debts.
Yes.
And he was just burning himself out. Pumping him full of drugs to keep him up.
Yeah.
What a terrible story.
I know.
Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Obviously a controversial figure, but interesting stuff around all his like substance abuse issues and
Well,
couldn't sleep.
He was the king of pop, and he married the daughter of the king of rock.
Yeah, Priscilla. Yep.
No,
that would have been
Lisa Marie.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Hey, I saw Michael Jackson.
Cover up for sure.
When Tab and I were backpacking around Europe, we ended up in Prague, and just in the hostel where we were staying had a little leaflet of Michael Jackson concert.
Oh, yeah.
So we just said, stuff it. We weren't big Michael Jackson fans, but I mean, there's a great album, Bad and Thriller were awesome. I remember, was it 1980 or 1981 or whenever when Thriller came out, and that video clip was fucking phenomenal. Yeah. And I remember going down to one of my cousin's house in Rockingham, and he had the LP of Thriller. And then Bad came out, and Bad was even great. Bad, Dirty Diana, great album. Bad. Anyway.
How good were music videos?
Yeah.
I feel like music videos I don't know, are music videos as big anymore? Like,
I don't know.
Back in the day, they were huge. You'd watch Rage and
I remember Rage.
Still used a fair bit.
You'd come home on a big night out on a sad day, and it'd be like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, and Rage would be on, and you'd just be laying there passing out in the lounge, but Rage would be playing. You'd wake up at 5 in the morning, and it was still going.
You were a party animal, hey?
Yeah, but hey, back in Prague, Michael Jackson concert, we went to it was pissing down rain, so we chucked on some garbage bags, cut garbage bags holes in the back to prevent ourselves from getting wet. Anyway, so had this massive big screen, and it was like this space rocket coming towards you, and so you're watching the screen, and it's like he's going to come out of the screen, but then the stage. This spaceship comes up through the stage, like explodes through it. Obviously, it was all pyrotechnic sort of shit.
Yeah.
And this spaceship, the nose of the spaceship comes out of the stage, and then the door opens, and then he walks out, grabbing his balls and doing his tiptoe dance. It was absolutely phenomenal. It was one of the best experiences I've ever seen.
Real spectacle, eh?
It was. Yeah. I saw Bon Jovi in concert here as well at the Entertainment Centre, and that was really a pyrotechnics spin out. That was back in the late 80s. And what he did, you know how the Entertainment Centre is like an auditorium, it sort of goes up, all the seats sort of go up to the higher level. He actually had a platform suspended in the air around the top level. So we were up high, but he jumped on that platform and started walking around it. So he was from me to you away, 10 metres, belting out these songs with his guitar, and he's right in front of us. So what a great way to engage all those people at the top levels that would generally sort of feel a little bit out of it from the centre stage.
Yep.
It was unreal. I'll never forget that. Some of those concerts that they do are pretty cool.
Yeah, the Entertainment Centre was pretty good.
Yeah.
I went in 98, saw Pearl Jam.
Yeah, I was there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Pearl Jam.
That mosh pit was phenomenal. I was off my feet at one point just getting carried by the crowd.
Really?
It was fucking intense. They were, back in the day, mosh pits were quite good.
Yeah, 98 Entertainment Centre. I just made a note of it.
Yeah, people were, you'd fall over, people would pick you up.
Yeah.
I haven't been in a mosh pit for a while.
Kind of dangerous, but kind of not. Like,
you
like
knew someone was going to look out for you.
Yeah, a little bit.
Pearl Jam had a few. That 8 people died in Roskilde in one of their festivals. Got a bit out of hand.
Yeah.
People have died. It's a bit full on.
There's been a few bands that have had people die. I know Limp Bizkit had a girl get crushed to death at a concert.
Have you guys seen the footage
Woodstock?
of Limp Bizkit at that Woodstock 2000?
Crazy.
Yeah.
They just fucking like lit it up and went off.
Yeah.
And then, everything started catching on fire.
That doco was unbelievable.
Crazy.
That was a great
Yeah,
doco.
it was awesome, yeah.
I
Imagine
felt-
being there. I would have loved to have gone. Like, it sounds like it was dodgy water and garbage everywhere, and obviously they descended into chaos, but
on an old military air base,
but
stinking hot.
it still looked killer. Like, it still looked really, just the lineup.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Far out.
But in that doco, like they were into Limp Bizkit, and they said Limp Bizkit riled the crowd up. They got everyone going.
Yeah.
And like I didn't really like Limp Bizkit. I thought Fred Durst was a bit of a tosser.
Yeah, I never got into him too much.
You know, he's going out there doing what he's been paid to do.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're going to get, Korn, I think were the night before.
Korn rocked out. Did you see that crowd?
That was like
Just
amazing.
rhythmically, like hundreds of thousands of people, just like a living organism.
Yep.
Imagine being
together.
that guy on the stage and everyone's just rocking out like, fuck, man, that's just...
Then they had Bush play after them. Which was probably lucky.
Yeah.
Brought it down. But then the next night, so I don't know if you recognise in the doco, Limp Bizkit are playing and it's sunlight. So they're playing during the day, right? So they're not even headliners. And they were like, Limp Bizkit, they riled the crowd up.
Yeah.
After that came on Metallica.
Yeah.
And Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah.
And Rage Against the Machine burnt an American flag.
Yeah.
And they were putting all the heat on Fred Durst.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's still 2-3 hours of music after that.
It's because I think that's when they started attacking that centre filming platform bit, wasn't it?
Yeah.
During like Limp Bizkit.
Yeah. But there's still two bands.
No, 100%, yeah.
Two pretty heavy.
Well, they finished off with Red Hot Chili Peppers, didn't they? Flea came out.
I think that was the next night.
Oh, right.
So
okay.
Jewel played and she was a bit scared, and then she came out and played and disappeared, and then they came out and played in the nude, completely nude.
Yeah.
Wasn't it also...
But by then it was almost done.
Yeah.
Like that Saturday night was...
Well, that was the last... I think they were the last act or something.
The music definitely fueled it in a way, but I think by that time... punters had got a little bit fucked off with the whole organisation thing of it.
Yeah.
They'd paid a lot of money, and then they got in there. It was stinking fucking hot.
Yep.
They're on a tarmac, an airport tarmac.
Yep.
Oh, that's what I mean. Like putting it on Limp Bizkit was a bit rough.
Yeah. And they're paying they were charging like $10 for a water bottle and shit like that.
In the year 2000, when a bottle of water I think cost 70 cents.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah. They were slugging people.
And the toilets. This is the state of
the sanitation was ordinary.
Yeah, no garbage.
People sliding through it.
The security was pretty ordinary. There were girls getting raped in vans and shit. You know, so I think by that time,
Fatboy Slim
had to get taken off stage.
Yes.
Rolling through a van.
Rolling through a van
Holy
into the
shit.
crowd. Yeah, that guy just off his nut driving.
It's fucking Lord of the Flies stuff. Like,
full on.
People.
Yeah.
I think there's footage of someone saying that. This is Lord of the Flies, man.
Really?
Like, going off his head. Yeah.
Maybe that's where I got it from.
Yeah.
But that's great. Yeah, and because they, the security were just dudes they got that couldn't get into the concert. Just wanted to see the concert. So they're wearing these. I can't remember what they were called. They had red, yellow shirts or something, and they had something on them. Like Happiness Seeker or something ridiculous. Yeah. And they're not going to stop anyone.
Happiness Patrol or some bullshit.
Yeah. But I think the whole stark contrast sort of highlighted in that doco was the 60s Woodstock was about love and peace and harmony, and this one was about violence and rape.
Yeah.
I feel like we saw the end of like music is fully monetized now. It's full on, pencil sharpening business. I feel like the last of it, when we saw sort of like honest musicians, was almost in the 90s, like the grunge scene. I remember seeing a interview with Kurt Cobain, and he was disgusted because they were charging something like $30 to go and see Nirvana, when they were pretty big.
Yeah. Well, Pearl Jam had the same thing with Ticketmaster.
Yeah, and they were absolutely like, shouldn't be costing this much. It should be like a reasonably affordable thing that the average person, because like grunge was all about, come as you are, sort of like not necessarily having a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it just got fully monetized. But I feel like, especially after the 90s, when that crew had sort of been like exploited, I guess, by the end of it, by some of the big corporations, that was kind of it. But the 60s obviously was next level. Like,
that reminds me, Smitty, one of the questions that I asked the kids was about Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. And I'd say this is probably going back to the 80s because back then they refused to sell one of their albums $1 more than the usual price of $8.98 to ensure that their fans didn't have to pay anymore, that their fans could afford their music.
Yep.
So how cool is that?
Awesome.
Because there would
could
have
have
been
meant
there was lots of exploitation, like you're saying.
Tons.
A lot of them.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah,
And
tons.
even some of those big bands would have got exploited by their record companies.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Some of the stuff that happened to Bruce Springsteen in his early days, I read his book.
Yeah.
That was just the guy's making tons. Sorry, earning the record company tons of money.
Yeah.
And he's getting nothing for it.
Yeah, right.
And in the end, he kind of got pretty savvy and went out on his own and did his own thing, but got paid appropriately. But I think that the song "Born to Run" he got nothing for. It was massive.
Really?
Yeah. Dancing in the Dark, he got nothing. He's making all these.
Well, that sort of reminds me of the story of Queen, the Bohemian Rhapsody, how they came to their manager with that song. And he just gone, fuck it, it's too long. Cut it down. Otherwise, we're not rolling with it.
Yep.
And they said, no, we can't cut it down. This is how it goes.
Yes.
And he wouldn't produce it or whatever.
Yep.
Didn't give it the green light, and they went to someone else, and it became an absolute. Well, it's still a hit.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine that guy. Wouldn't he be kicking himself?
100%.
The amount of money that he missed out on.
Yeah, I think the production they put into that was amazing. Like they even recorded different parts of it in different studios to get a different sound because how it's all jumped in and out with different bits.
Yep.
Yeah, I think they put a lot into that.
Yep.
I think the recording of it was like really arduous, but it paid off. Like what a absolute just classic.
Yeah, and we go back to soundtracks. Wayne's World.
Oh yeah,
you remember they were singing that song in the car?
In the car.
Yeah, and then
remember when they just rock out to it when they're driving? Just
it just brings a smile to your face seeing that scene. And then also when Garth does that Foxy Lady, the Jimi Hendrix Foxy Lady, and he's got his foxy ears on and he does that little kooky dance.
Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, soundtracks. Well, I think we mentioned last couple of podcasts ago, Lost Boys, that's a good soundtrack.
Good movie too.
The Beach. The Beach is a good soundtrack with Leonardo DiCaprio, that movie. It's got a bit of Moby in it. It's got some good 90s shit. I tell you one good, a couple of good soundtracks from the 90s is Natural Born Killers.
Oh, yeah.
That movie, that's got some sick grunge tunes in it.
Yep.
And also Romeo and Juliet, another Leonardo DiCaprio movie. That's got some really good
When
songs.
Doves Cry.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, when Doves Cry, let me just go back to my question about Prince. He, there's a good little fact here. Here we go. Which artist in 1987 had on the same day the number one movie in the charts, the soundtrack to that movie at number one in the album charts, and the single When Doves Cry at number one in the singles charts?
Oh, that's Prince.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
So he's got the number one movie, number one soundtrack in the album charts, and the number one single
Wow.
What was the movie?
in 1987. Purple Rain,
Old formerly.
formerly known as. Yeah. Which American rock band interviewed Slash for their guitarist position, but he didn't get the gig, so he joined Guns N' Roses? Poison.
Really?
Yeah.
Not cool enough.
No.
We couldn't see his eyes.
Yeah.
He had a hat on.
Yep.
You had some pretty complicated questions for your kids, mate.
I know. Yeah. Which American punk rock band formed in the 80s and with their loud, quiet music structure influenced many of the 90s grunge bands like Nirvana and Pearl Jam? They're also named after mischievous little elves. Pixies.
Oh,
So
the Pixies.
apparently they were sort of like big influences
Where's
of...
my mind?
Yeah.
Yeah. Classic.
See, that's another one because that's in Fight Club.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's looking out over.
Yeah.
He's created that face of fire in the building across. That's another one. Because I've got top fives of everything, top 5 albums, top 5. I've got top 5 songs in movies.
Oh, yeah.
So that would be in my top 5 songs in movies.
Wow.
Yeah. Because that Pixies is a great song. It's got that haunting.
Oh, yeah.
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 Don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
My daughter likes that song. She
Yeah.
really dug that song when she was like 10.
Yeah.
So it still resonates with young people.
Tell you what, Trainspotting had a
Frank
pretty good
Lowe.
Born Slippy. I reckon that's an iconic 90s.
That was in there?
You play that dun 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 dun. Everyone sits
Yeah.
up and like, oh fuck, I remember that. I remember when that came out.
Even that sort of like he says it, speaks it out. This song, "Live Life" or something.
Choose life.
Choose life.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's
that
pretty
accent.
cool.
Yeah. Awesome movie though.
Get your plasma TV and all
Yeah.
that sort of shit. Yeah.
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 Good ones.
Speaking of TVs, Money for Nothing.
Yeah.
How that song come about when the lead singer of Dire Straits. I was in a
Mark Knopfler.
Mark Knopfler, yeah. He was in that TV shop, and he was talking to the salesman, and the salesman had MTV on the TVs,
yeah.
And he said, look at these guys, money for nothing, isn't it? That's getting their chicks for free. He's talking about the rock stars on MTV, and Mark Knopfler's sitting there making notes, and that's how money for nothing.
Yeah, because that was in that clip, wasn't it? Like the TVs.
Yeah. So that's where inspiration from that song come about.
Yeah, sick.
So Jonesy, you mentioned your top 5 albums.
Oh, fuck! You put me on the spot.
Yeah. Well, I just thought about that as well. Before we do, I guess. Did we get Smitty's best decade? I think we already know.
The 90s.
90s.
Like I sat down last night and I jotted down some sick 90s bands. I've got a whole page here. And
go on, rattle them off. Rattle them off.
Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Blur, Prodigy, Radiohead, Chemical Brothers, Oasis, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Underworld, Ultrasonic, Korn, Cranberries, Blink-182, Rage, Mazzy Star, Green Day, Cypress Hill, Silverchair, Smashing Pumpkins, Pulp, Pixies, Guns N' Roses, Metallica, Aerosmith, Iron Maiden, The Cure, Snoop Dogg, Public Enemy, NWA, Tupac, The Verve, U2, Live, Offspring, Beastie Boys, Fatboy Slim, No Doubt, Eminem, The Cardigans, Supergrass, Nada Surf, Run DMC. You can go on forever.
Yeah.
Awesome
list, man. Awesome list.
And that's missing so many.
Screaming Trees.
You know, Never Say Soundgarden, so many.
Yeah.
Just
Stone Temple Pilots.
Yeah.
Just epic. Like, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, good list there, man.
Unbeatable.
The 90s was a great decade because it gave you a bit of variety, didn't it? It gave you a real variety of, a bit of remnant pop music. Yep. You had grunge. You had the new age sort of techno sort of coming in.
Yeah.
Had a bit of an evolution in that decade.
Massively. Like the introduction of like sampling and techno and stuff like that was just a game changer and like a whole different style of music that we'd never seen.
Yeah.
And like even around 1990, some absolutely killer tracks coming out. Do you guys remember Age of Love?
Who by?
Sing it.
Age of Love by Age of Love. It's an electronic song.
No, I don't.
I'll give you a little snippet.
Yeah.
I thought it was actually later. I thought it was the mid-90s, but it actually came out in 1990. Just an absolutely epic dance track. Let's see.
So that's the other thing. That's the same with, some things that got released. We probably didn't hear about them over here for 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was released in 93. No, that was 91. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It's so immediate now. It gets released. You can grab it. Here we go.
Oh, it's going to be a while until it kicks, so we can just chat.
Yeah, okay.
A little bit, but
is there a drop on it? I love a song with a drop. You know how
a little bit. It's a slow build because it's a classic like 90s techno song. So they all went for like 6 minutes, 9 minutes.
Yeah,
it's got a bit of a progression, but
just grab a deck.
Because when you're pinging on ease, 6 minutes only seems like 2.
People are still rocking out to this like 10 years later. I reckon this is still a classic now.
Yeah,
just so good.
Yeah,
I was really surprised when I saw it came out in 1990.
Yeah, right. 1990.
I mean, the Prodigy Experience, their first album, came out. What an awesome album! Like the Prodigy were next level. Like they just stuck around.
Yeah.
Feathered Land was obviously their best or their most successful album. But do you guys remember this, or might have been more? No. Anyway.
No, I don't remember that, mate. I think I was probably too consumed into the grunge thing to care about any techno at that stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember a girl trying to teach me about techno. I was, sorry. And that fell apart. So
there you go.
It's probably my fault.
Teach you about techno.
Probably could have got more babes.
How do you get taught?
Well, just the mixing of songs and the interaction.
Yeah.
Well, I needed.
I mean, that was an art form. Some of those epic DJs that could just absolutely.
That's what I mean. Like seamlessly put 2 tracks over the top of each other.
Yeah.
Can you hear this one coming in?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Colour Cox and stuff like that. Just absolutely like rocking out. Raves. Some of the raves over in Europe getting like 100,000 people, just full city blocks. Just man, like
I'm in a Pearl Jam video.
Oh yeah.
Live at the Garden.
Oh yeah.
So we Live at the Garden was like a live release from Madison Square Garden, but there's a few tracks at the end, and one of them he plays in Perth, and Mark Seymour from Hunters and Collectors comes out, plays a song, and we're in the front row. So there's a couple of songs. There's one called Crazy Mary. I don't know if you know that song. Take a bottle, pass it down. it's a cover. It's an old 50s song that they do. So in this concert, Eddie's up there because he has red wine all the time. So he's drinking this red wine, and he's take a bottle, pass it down. He passes it down to the crowd, and it's me in the crowd. So get this bottle, pass it around the front row, pass it to the dude behind me. My mates are behind me.
So where was this filmed?
In Perth.
Oh, in Perth, yeah, right. And they use that footage?
Use that footage, yeah.
Wow.
No, they used the footage of Mark Seymour.
Yeah.
But that was the same concert we went to. So he passes his bottle.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go.
Cool, huh?
Almost famous.
Anyway, yeah. Oh, you wouldn't be able to tell it was me or my mates. It's just my head, but anyway. Good times. Got in the front row, so that was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. If you're in the fan club, you get tickets.
You're a real fanboy, were you?
I remember lining up for those tickets at the Entertainment Centre in 98 at Challenge Stadium in Claremont. We stayed overnight.
Yeah.
Slept on the concrete.
Yep.
It was cool.
That's what you did back in the day.
Yeah, it was a whole group. Yep. You know, everyone kind of had a few beers and yeah.
Yep. Did you ever get into Blink-182 later on, or were they too soft?
No, they were.
Yeah, I like Blink-182.
Yeah, I thought they were good. Yeah,
they're in my top 5.
Yeah, they're touring. I think they're touring in 24.
Yeah, I'm going.
Yeah, you're going. Yeah, nice. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Got some tickets. Cool. Yeah,
that's actually one of the most iconic albums, I reckon, too. Is that the nurse with the blue glove on the? I think it's a self-titled album.
She's a porn star. You know that, right?
Really?
Janine, look her up.
Yeah.
Just do a bit of research, mate.
Yeah.
I only usually do a couple of minutes of research if I'm looking at that, but Blink-182 will be good.
Yeah.
Coming. Yeah. All right, because I was about for sort of 15, 16. They were the first concert I went to.
I mean, they had some longevity, hey? Like they started sort of early 90s, I think, and went right through till like 05 or something. Then they had like a hiatus.
They still got...
and then they've, reformed
had a couple that are
doing
good.
more. I think they had a few years off.
So they had a guy from the Alkaline Trio join them, and he played on their last 2 albums, and now Tom DeLonge's back. But the previous 2 were great. I thought, they were released in 2019 and maybe a bit before. But yeah, they were cracking. Even early on, I love them because they were just 3 dudes singing about dicks and chicks and
money,
going to parties and skateboarding and at that time that's what we were doing.
Yeah,
14,
100%.
15.
Yep, nothing too serious.
Yeah, catching the bus to go to Metros to watch them.
Yeah,
they played with Grinspoon and Unwritten Law and another couple of great punk bands. It's a lineup of 5 bands. Yeah, I remember getting on the bus. We'd had a few drinks. Don't think we're old enough, but had a few drinks. My mate stood on the stoop of the bus as you go in, turned around and threw up. And it was all Emu Export, I reckon. He just threw up, wiped his mouth, got on the bus, and we went and saw Blink-182.
Boom.
Classic.
So you did it.
Yeah, they were a good band.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, another good band, and you mentioned them earlier, mate, at the that festival was Bush. I've just been listening to a lot of their latest album releases, and they are still pumping out some awesome music, man.
Yeah.
And
in the present day.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, jump on Spotify. They've got they've released an album this year, or might have even been the end of last year, and then another one during COVID, I think. They are cracking albums. Yeah. His voice has just got better, I reckon. The lead singer guy, and we all like a bit of Bush.
Helped him, I suppose.
Yeah. But great album, and some of their music is latest music is really, really good. Yeah. I mean, they're a band from the 90s.
Yeah.
And when they came out with Yellow and Swallowed.
I think Yellow was Coldplay, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yellow was definitely Coldplay, yeah.
Yeah, Coldplay was a big band.
They were. Yep.
They really, I got sick of them pretty quick though. That first album they came out with, that was cracker. That was good.
They've been, so the WA state government paid Coldplay to come here. They're playing 2 shows, 80,000 people at Optus Stadium.
What, coming up?
Yeah.
Nah, pass.
And the state government paid them to come here.
Well, yeah. Do you remember the great comedian Bill Hicks from back in the day? He was a 90s man, Bill Hicks. Anyway, he made a joke about government-approved rock, and that's exactly what Coldplay are.
Yeah, right.
Wuss rock.
Yeah.
Government-approved.
Yeah, right.
Come in, bring the money in.
Yeah, because you won't see the government funding UFC fights come over here, will you?
No.
The government aren't funding Blink-182 to come.
Nah.
You know what I mean?
or Foo Fighters. I saw the Foo Fighters back in 2018. It was a great show. I loved it. But I refused. I've banned them. I've actually stopped following them on Spotify.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, they were the first band to come out with a discriminatory concert. You know?
That's Dave Grohl. You just heard that. And he's
Yep.
Rooster.
But it's not a conspiracy. They came out saying that their concert, when the COVID vaccines came out, was only for vaccinated people only.
Wow. That's not really in the spirit of...
That's not rock and roll.
Nah, that's like the opposite of that.
It is.
Yeah.
There was a lot, during that time, there was a lot of stuff that I thought the same. I was like, usually it's these rock bands that are standing up for people.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Where were rock and roll bands protesting?
Thing about Rage Against the Machine, wasn't it? Wasn't that the false...
Yeah, there was a thing going around.
Rumour that they had done a similar thing. When,
fuck you, I won't do what you tell me, but you've got to wear masks at my concert.
You've got to do what we tell you. Yeah.
You know,
really?
Which was false in the end because Rage hadn't played a show since 2013 or something ridiculous.
So that was a lie, was it? That wasn't true.
Yeah,
right. The Foo Fighters one definitely was.
Yeah,
you know, and I'm not. I've just banned them off my. I love their music, love them. Have always loved the Foos, but that's shit. I'm off. And I'd love to go there to this concert with my daughter because she wants to go. Yeah, but I'm just.
I've seen them a couple of times. I saw them leave the Belvoir Amphitheatre because they hit their curfew and they weren't allowed to play any longer.
Yeah, I remember you telling me this story.
They played with the Meanies. The Meanies are an Australian band. They played for longer than the Foo Fighters. And I remember thinking, that's not rock and roll.
Nah.
You got a curfew at 11 o'clock and you go, nah.
Sorry, guys. We've hit our curfew. We're going to have to put our instruments down.
Because the Meanies played for too long and they probably drank too much backstage. And you're like, oh, thanks a lot. Like I paid heaps of money for this. I've seen the Foo Fighters a couple of times and have just been a bit disappointed.
Yeah, right. Yeah, their show at East Perth Stadium there was pretty good. It was 2018, and he had just come back. Dave Grohl had come back he'd been to the States. He did his show in either Melbourne or Sydney, flew back home to do his daddy-daughter day at his daughter's school.
The dance or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, then flew back out to Australia to come to Perth, and then on that flight got food poisoning. So he spent the day before the concert here in Perth on the dunny with the shits, but then came out and did a rockin' show the next day. And he was just telling the story that, you know, you might need to duck off stage or whatever. But he was fine. Yeah. But it was a great show. He was a great entertainer.
Yeah. They've got some great stuff.
Oh,
I don't know if you've seen, it's called Sonic Highways. So it was probably it was about 2018 album. And what they did is they went to 8 different iconic locations around the US. So they went to, I was going to say Tamworth. It's not Tamworth, but what's the country music capital? So they went there.
Oh, yeah.
And they got a guy.
That is Tamworth, isn't it?
No, in the States.
In the States. Oh, sorry.
Like Nashville.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So they went to Nashville. They recorded, and they had a famous country singer guy come in. And they went to these places and they just recorded songs based around there.
Yeah, right.
One at New Orleans with Gary Clark Jr., who's he's a real good guitarist, and then they had an hour-long sort of documentary on why they went there, the history of the music from that area, and them making the song. It was awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. Sonic Highways, really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then
it's a shame about the drummer that died.
Yeah.
Unexpectedly.
He was
died unexpectedly.
Good.
Yeah. But anyway, it should be a good show for those that are going, but I won't be going.
Nah.
Fair call.
Yeah. I'm sure they'll because they're headliners. I saw them. They played with Kings of Leon, or another.
Oh, what a great
underrated band!
Love Kings of Leon. That's so good.
That's one of those things. When I did my training for work, that was the big album at the time in Melbourne.
Oh yeah.
Sex on Fire.
Yeah.
That album was amazing.
Yeah.
And I can remember, going to the gym in the morning, putting that on, going for a little run into the gym, Windy Hill, coming home.
Yeah. Well, that was quite unusual because that song, Sex on Fire, being quite a commercial song, made number 1 of the Triple J Hottest 100 that year. Which is, Triple J is renowned for alternative music. I guess Kings of Leon started off alternative, but that song brought them into the commercial realm a fair bit, didn't it?
And if you listen to their previous albums, you can't understand what he says.
Really?
And in that one, and I remember reading about it at the time. He said he was confident with his voice.
Oh, okay.
So before he didn't think he could sing, so
Yeah.
he kind of mumbled the words, and nobody really got it. And then this one, which
Right.
was a huge commercial success for him, was when he started singing properly.
Yeah,
And he
right.
could understand what he was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a great song on that album called Closer, which I love.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good album. And their subsequent albums were good too. They
Yeah.
backed them up.
Yeah.
They're a great band.
Yeah, they're good.
I think they had a story
Sticking
behind their
around.
name as well. That's what they wanted to be called, but apparently their manager was like, no, you can't use that name. That's a terrible name. Like, commercially, you shouldn't be using that. And apparently there was a big scrap to get Kings of Leon across the line.
Yeah, right.
So,
that
like,
right?
yeah, if we do it, this is what we're going to be called.
They're all brothers, I think, aren't they? 4 brothers or something?
Yeah. But, yeah.
That's a story like
That's the thing.
Led Zeppelin. I think they were going to call themselves and the New Yardbirds.
Oh, yeah.
And then their manager said, well, that band name's going to go down like a lead balloon.
Yeah.
And that's when the
Led
title
Zeppelin.
Led Zeppelin come
Yeah.
about. Yeah.
Another cracking band. We haven't really talked about the 70s.
Oh, man, Led Zeppelin. What
Led
a
Zeppelin, The
great
Who.
band. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. Yeah, probably just
Real
before my
good.
time, and I was born in the 70s, so
Yeah, but see, a lot of I went back and you talked about bands influencing other bands. I remember, probably Pearl Jam saying we're heavily influenced. I love Pete Townsend from the Who, and I was like, Who? Who are the Who?
yeah.
Went back and looked. I was like,
What some
far out.
great songs have they got?
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
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 Barbara O'Reilly, one of my top
Yeah.
5 songs.
Yeah.
Cracking
Wow.
song. Yeah.
Be cool.
It's also used in a really unknown movie called Summer of Sam.
Oh, yeah.
It's about Son of Sam serial killer.
Oh, right.
Yeah, they kind of pick on this weird kid because he's dressing like a punk. They think he's the Son of Sam
Oh, okay.
mass murderer.
Because they also
New
played
York.
Barbara O'Reilly at the start of that crime investigation show. Remember that series on TV?
CSI.
I might not have been CSI or, the one that went dun dun.
Da-dum.
SVU. Nah. CSI, because CSI had the Who on. They've got like 4
Oh,
different.
that is that. Who are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, not that one. It was the one where they uncovered assaults on children and stuff. Geez, how's my memory?
Special Victims
Huh?
Unit.
Special Victims Unit. It was something like that. It was a series.
I'll bet.
Right, I'm gonna look it up.
I'll bet you it was CSI Miami or something that had Barbara O'Reilly.
There's a lot of spin-offs from that, wasn't there?
Well, the CSI, that first one that had that iconic "Who Are You" song, and then they had spin-offs in Miami and somewhere else, and it had David Caruso or whatever his name is, and they had
Barbara O'Reilly was used as a theme song for popular TV series CSI New York.
there you go, New York,
There you go.
classic,
Yeah.
very good.
Any of you guys get into Faith No More?
Love Faith No More,
They fucking rocked out back in the
Yeah.
day. Yeah.
Angel Dust, great
We're,
album, Midlife Crisis, great song.
Gentle Art of
Top
Making
5
Enemies.
song. Yeah, that was
That's
a cracker.
killer song.
Yeah.
Remember rocking out to that?
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
remember that album? Was it King for a Day or something?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
It didn't have any of the lyrics.
Yeah. Okay.
So I remember when I was a young bloke, my parents used to make me go into my bedroom and do homework.
Yep.
And my homework was I'd get in there and I'd sit in, and that one didn't have any lyrics in the lyric.
Oh yeah.
So I listened to Gentle Art of Making Enemies about 1,000 times trying
Yeah.
to work out what he was saying, and I
Yeah.
wrote it all down. That was
Yep.
my homework.
Oh,
for the
wow.
night.
It's hard to make out what he's saying.
Yeah.
Because he's like talking fast and like mumbling a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, fucker.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah. It was. Yeah. Yep. Epic was pretty good.
Epic.
Yeah.
It was epic. Yeah.
Obviously, it was epic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was number 1, I think, for a while, wasn't it? That
Yeah.
was pretty commercial.
Oh, it should have been.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, they were a great band.
They've got lots of songs that I'd never realised were Faith No More until you listen to them. You're like,
Yeah.
man, this is a cracking song. And then you look up, it's like, oh, Faith No More. Yeah.
Easy. They did a Lionel Richie Easy. That
Oh,
cover
yeah?
was great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Did they do the Cat Stevens cover, Cats in the Cradle? Did they?
Ugly Kid Joe.
Oh,
That's right.
yeah.
Classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. Ugly Kid Joe. I think Epic was probably the first song. What was that? Must have been, was it early 90s? 89, maybe 90?
Be around that. I would have thought
that
1991 maybe. But
I was 10, and that was
1989.
89 was it?
Yeah,
there you go.
That kicked me off into my love of hard rock and roll, punk.
Yeah, there's a good shout out to Louis who put me onto this a Netflix series called, I think it's Song Buster or something. If you put Song Exploder on Netflix, and it's only got about 5 or 6 episodes. They only go for about 20 odd minutes, but they pick certain songs and they discuss with the artists how they come about writing that song. So I watched The Killers.
When we were young.
When we were young, that's the one. So they talk about that, just the making of that. And that's when, similar to that guy you were just talking about there, where he sort of come about with his confidence of his voice and really sort of let loose, and that's the song came a hit. But one of the most intriguing ones was Trent Reznor talking about that song, Hurt.
Do you know what Trent Reznor does now?
No?
He's the head of Apple Music.
Bullshit.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
9 Inch Nails, Trent Reznor.
He was explaining, right?
Or something, programming or something, head of programming.
Yeah, right. He was explaining that the song Walk, which is at the end of that album.
Pantera Walk? That was a classic.
What's the album? What's the album of 9 Inch Nails? Downward Spiral. So the Downward Spiral, the one with, I want to fuck you like an animal.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa. That song.
Yep.
Well, Walk. So Walk was also done a cover by Johnny Cash, which is a great cover version. I love it. I actually like Johnny Cash's version better than Trent Reznor's. But Trent Reznor was saying that song Hurt is a conclusion of the journey of that album. And so I actually took 9 Inch Nails Downward Spiral on that trip that I was talking about earlier. And I listened to the whole album, and it's quite painful to listen to. And I don't know, when he was explaining it on that interview with this guy, you could tell that when he was singing that song, making that album, there was torment in his life. And I don't know whether he was abused or what, but you go back and you listen to that album, and man, there's a lot of hate and pain in it. And the Hurt album, the Hurt song is just this culmination of his state of being, and this journey of all the songs that he particularly put in order to send the listener through a journey of pain and hurt and and torment of what he was going through. And you listen to it, man, it's quite harsh. But have a listen to his interview, man, on that Netflix thing, Song Exploder. It's pretty intriguing.
Yeah.
And you just wonder where someone's thought pattern to come up with those sort of songs.
Where's it coming from?
Where's it coming from, man? Like there's some really vivid lyrics on that song.
Yeah.
A lot of artists get their experience, their inspiration from like some dark places, hey?
Yeah.
Seems to be like a prerequisite sometimes to be that really sort of creative person to just put some stuff out, and you hear the like meaning behind some songs that people put out, and it's like, whoa.
Yeah. Like, what are some songs out there that have that sort of? I mean, we spoke about Jeremy earlier. That was an experience was that a personal experience of Eddie Vedder's?
No, I think he just found it in a newspaper.
Was it?
Yeah, it was a newspaper article.
Yep.
Yeah.
Black, the song Black, is that? I heard that was about his sister or a relative of his in a psych ward.
Oh.
She paints empty canvas on sheets of clay. Anyway, I thought those songs there were personal experiences, but maybe not. But
yeah, I don't think Jeremy was. Black may very well be. Yeah.
And I guess a lot of artists got inspiration from drug use. Open up their creativity and
60s, hey, the whole decade. Yeah. Just the psychedelic decade of music.
Yeah. Because the Doors, I mean, Jim Morrison, a lot of stuff that you look at that movie where Val Kilmer played Jim Morrison, which he did a great job of.
Yeah.
Some of the songs that they come up with in the desert frying on LSD, shit like that.
Well, the Beatles before LSD versus after LSD.
Yeah.
Obviously, like John Lennon spinning off and going solo later on.
Yep.
Just, so much. Like,
yeah.
60s would have been a cool time to be alive.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine being able to go to Woodstock.
Oh,
yeah.
Like if you just like get in a time machine, go back to, was it 1969 or whatever? Like, far out.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it was all about rebellion back then, wasn't it? It was
Yeah,
Sort
but
of-
also like love and compassion and
Yeah.
sharing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't really like a commercial venture so much. Like it obviously was a commercial venture, but that wasn't like its entire reason for being, and like people sort of living cooperatively and caring about each other, and
Yeah.
you know, like everyone going around and cleaning up, and
Yeah.
it wasn't like the Woodstock of 2000 where people just going nuts and
Yeah.
you know, fighting and people getting raped and garbage everywhere, and
You sort of wonder,
$10 a bottle of water.
you think about that stage in history where people were acting in that way, whether the forces that be put things in place to stop that from happening. Because imagine if
Banning psychedelics and
imagine
drugs.
if society,
War on drugs,
yeah,
starting in 1970, Nixon, I think it was.
imagine if society continued with that love, peace, and happiness mantra that was sort of big in the 60s.
Yeah.
Imagine what the world would be like. But you know, they had to assassinate JFK. They had to, you know, ban psychedelics and blame the hippie trail and all that sort of stuff for corrupt drugs and shit like that. Yeah, you just sort of wonder, you know, then they had to invade Vietnam and places like that. You just sort of wonder how the world might have been different if that 60s culture could have lived on.
I reckon the CIA had been tailing John Lennon for years.
Yeah.
And there's that conspiracy theory that maybe he wasn't just assassinated by that crazy guy, but maybe it was in fact like a CIA operation.
Yeah.
'Cause his late music was quite powerful and had a lot of messaging behind it.
Yeah.
They were massive at the time, weren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
What did he got assassinated?
He got shot. He got shot
1980, I think.
in New York, outside his apartment.
We went to his apartment, Tab and I, when we went to New York.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yoko Ono and
I mean, there's been a lot of musicians assassinated, you know, by Joe Blows, you know. But just recently, Chris Cornell, did he get shot? Or was he,
No, I think he...
was that a apparent suicide or something?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's some other artists as well that were coming out about some quite topical issues.
Chester Benningfield from Bennington from Lincoln Park. There's another one, yeah. They were good mates. Apparently they were making a doco.
About something?
Yeah, so I think they kind of joined the dots.
Yeah.
People joined the dots on that. Yeah. Both died in a similar way, I think.
Yep. Yeah, well, isn't there a theory behind Kurt Cobain as well getting assassinated?
I have heard that.
There's
all this thing about because he did it in the attic of his house and something to do with the window being open.
Exactly.
And all this bizarre shit.
Yeah. So the window was open as if someone had crawled out of it, not as if it was open for air purposes or whatever. It was there was something behind this window. There's a documentary about it, and it's really interesting. I saw it ages ago, but I can't.
Yeah, right.
I think I've seen it, but I saw it quite a while ago, and I remember thinking, maybe it's obviously, you never know, do you? But wasn't so compelling that it was like that was definite, but it was like, well, you never know.
Why would they want to kill him?
Don't know.
I think it was suggested that he was quite against the sort of full-on commercialism of music, and so he had issues with like some of the prices they were charging for, you know, access to music and things like that, and he was more of a grassroots.
He was against not just music though, it was the establishment pretty much, really. Wasn't it?
That as well. Yeah.
But they reckon that album Unplugged was his goodbye concert. So they reckon that he designed that whole set with all the candles and all the dim lighting and shit, and they reckon, and the band members reckon that that was him.
Yeah, he already knew.
That was his wake.
Yeah.
Pretty much he knew that either he was going to kill himself at that time or he was going to be killed.
Well, he was a full-on heroin addict, wasn't he? So he probably saw the writing on the wall.
I think on that documentary as well, they interview who's the lead singer of R.E.M.?
Michael Stipe.
Michael Stipe and Kurt Cobain were really close friends. And a week before Kurt Cobain was killed, they had a chat on the phone, and they were going to meet up and do a collaborative music thing. And so the date that Michael Stipe was supposed to call back and get things going in motion was the day before, and he never got around to it. And then the next day, Kurt Cobain shot himself. So in the interview, in that documentary, I think Michael Stipe talks about his deep regret about not calling Kurt on that day because things might have changed. He might have even been able to, not knowing that Kurt was going to do that, but might have given Kurt some purpose to carry on we're going to get together. I'll meet you tomorrow. Blah blah blah. We'll organise this collaborative.
Yep.
And it never obviously happened.
That whole sort of sliding door theory of like one little change sets off a cascade of changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think if you set up a MTV music event like that? It'd be hard to change his mind.
Yeah. But you never know.
You never know with mental illness, I guess, and depression and stuff like that.
Because back then there was no "Are you okay" day, is there? Was there?
No, would it have saved him though? Are you okay, Kurt? Yeah, I'm okay.
That was one of those ones where I remember exactly where I was at the time.
Yeah.
And I was at school. I can remember I was top of the stairs, and people we hang out with I got there and people were in tears.
Really?
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah.
I couldn't get to class. They were that distraught.
I remember people booking off school.
Yeah. Really?
Yep.
Wow. Yeah. I remember when Michael Hutchence died. I remember that. And I also remember I was in grade 3. I was on the bus going up the hill to Kalamunda for my swimming lessons, and I was sitting next to my grade 3 teacher, Mrs. Godfrey, and she was reading the Daily News, and she just cried out, "Oh my God, John Lennon had been shot." So going back to John Lennon, I'll never forget that. I had no idea who John Lennon was, and it just would have just gone in one ear and out the other. But her response with that happening and her reading it stuck in my memory forever.
Yep.
I wonder where Mrs. Godfrey is these days. She'd be dead, I reckon. Well, she was pretty old back then. She was a lovely teacher. But yeah, R.E.M., great band. And their best of album, they've got a best of.
Each to their own.
Don't like R.E.M. In Time, 1988 to
Time.
2003. We're not a big R.E.M. fan?
Too whiny.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, if you like it, that's cool.
Yeah. Night Swimming.
I can appreciate them. But
Night Swimming. Beautiful song. George Thorogood collection.
Oh, yeah?
Classic best of.
Might have been a bit before my time.
Yeah. Hoodoo Gurus, Electric Soup.
Yeah, I could.
Got to be a fan of that.
Sure.
Best of Men at Work. Contraband.
Yeah.
Men at Work have got some classic songs.
Overkill is a classic.
Yeah.
That's a great song.
Yeah. I'll tell you another great Australian
Colin Hay.
band who have got some classic songs is Mondo Rock. Mondo Rock have got some classics.
Yeah.
There's actually it might have been. You guys carry on. I'll just find another little question here.
So how's your day been?
Yeah, good. Yeah, quizzes by Dove. Radiohead, that was such a good band.
Yeah,
Awesome.
great album.
Yeah.
That first album that came out in the 90s with plastic trees, whatever.
Fake plastic trees.
Plastic trees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember that film clip when he's in the fish bowl and it's filling up with water?
Yeah.
His little bung eyes going and
Their first
Tom York.
album released, their first single was Creep, which was one of their best ever songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My daughter loves that song now.
It's a fucking awesome song.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was released in like 92 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great song.
Karma Police.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome song.
Yeah.
Just cruisy. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I was telling my daughter just when we listened to The Creep the other day, that song resonated with me when I was on my own teaching in a country town back when I was early 20s. And, that line, "I don't belong here," that's I'm a creep.
Yep.
That just resonated with me, I just didn't belong. I didn't belong where I was.
I'm a creep. Don't belong here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are a bit of a creep.
It's not what you want from your school teacher.
The kids
I'm a creep and I don't belong here.
Do you guys get into any of the Britpop?
No.
Not at all.
Oasis I didn't mind.
Yeah. Gallagher Brothers
were
are
okay.
nuts. Yeah.
Who else was there? That's about it.
Oh, heaps. Pulp.
Oh yeah, they're all right.
Supergrass.
Oh yeah.
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 They had good songs. Yeah. I didn't have any of their albums, but
Didn't you? Yeah.
No, they had some good singles.
Song 2, if you were anywhere and you hear that, that was just time to rock out.
Damon Albarn wrote that in about 2 minutes, he reckons.
Yeah, it was a very long song. I think it went for about 2 minutes and something.
He said something like, anyone can write a pop song. I'll do it in 10 minutes. And that was song 2.
Yep.
That was
really?
that was what he claimed.
And probably the song that Blur are known best for out of all their many, many, many songs.
But who knows if that's bullshit or not,
You never know, yeah.
Are they the guys that became Gorillaz?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, because they didn't like fame, did they? They wanted their identities kept secret or something, so they created those cartoon characters and became Gorillaz.
Yeah, I didn't mind Gorillaz, all right.
I like Gorillaz.
Yeah.
They've got a new album out, and the lead song is actually pretty good. Yeah, it's one of my favourites. I've put it on my favourite list.
Yep.
But going back to Mondo Rock, just go back to these songs, right? So Mondo Rock, back in the 80s, this Aussie band had the most hit singles than any other Australian band. Cool World, Come Said the Boy, State of the Heart, Summer of 81, Chemistry, Primitive Love Rights. There's 6 songs straight off the bat. Men at Work. Aussie rock band achieved what no other band has by having their album at number 1 in the charts and their single Down Under at number 1 in the charts at the exact same time in Australia, UK, New Zealand and USA.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Colin, hey.
There you go. Down Under. Great song. Should be national anthem. So, yeah, Britpop.
Yeah, I rated it. I got into it.
Didn't Oasis and Blur have a bit of a beef?
They did.
Mate, Oasis had a bit of a beef with everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember the story of them having a fight with some Russian mafia guys in an airport one time, and
weren't they just wankers?
Noel Gallagher. I think so. Yeah,
Did they have a fight with each other?
All the time, trying to kill each other.
They don't talk anymore, do they?
Nah.
Throwing glass ashtrays at each other's heads and shit. Just full nuts.
Yeah.
But they made some good.
They did.
Wonderwall.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's
pretty iconic.
It's an anthem.
Yeah.
Champagne Supernova. Was good.
Yeah,
they
definitely.
Had some.
There are some
What's the
songs.
story, Morning Glory?
That one in
Yeah.
particular that you can actually put on a playlist called Anthems that will get people up and singing.
Yeah.
So like Sweet Child of Mine is one.
It's a sing-along one, isn't it? Yeah, exactly.
It's a sing-along that everyone can sort of just get arm in arm when they're drunk and just sing out the words to it.
100%, yeah.
Yeah. Wonderwall is probably one of those.
Yep.
What's your karaoke song, Rooster? What do you go to?
I've actually got a playlist of karaoke songs.
I used to do Bohemian Rhapsody back in the day.
Did ya?
Me and a couple of mates used to get up and we'd do all the little different voices, because it goes to that.
Yeah.
Galileo, Galileo. We used to have a little fucking yeah. Then we just rock out for the It's a real full body karaoke one. Like you can really rock out to it. People love it. It's such an iconic song.
I remember going into a karaoke bar and seeing Rooster with 20 people around him, arm in arm, didn't know him, microphone in hand, belting out. I can't remember what it was.
I can imagine.
It probably shook me all night long. I reckon that's probably the one that I always go for.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and that's a song that you can get people up and singing. Take Me Back, Noiseworks. Great album. Their original first album, Noiseworks. Yeah, probably say a bit of In Excess. Might be on the karaoke cards, what you need.
I'll tell you one not to do karaoke, which I learned the hard way, is Firestarter by the Prodigy. Don't try and do that. There's not really many words to it. It's just got to be all rocking out. But unless you can really walk the line, disaster. I did that one time, and those various levels of karaoke, and some just give you like the basic tune of the song, and some give you the whole. It's like you need to listen to like the live Firestarter one where they're rocking out and it's got all the little noises and shit. But like if you just do the very commercial for release one, it's just like, I'm a Firestarter, twisted Firestarter, like over and over again. You've got to be like Keith from the Prodigy, just absolutely going off your nut, and you've got to have like blue hair and shit, and have all the Prodigy crew around you. If you're just some random 20-year-old dude trying to rock out to it, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
That was a bit of a fail, but that's all right. I love the Prodigy back in the day.
Yeah, it would have been hard to do karaoke for that because you need all the background instruments.
100%, yeah. No, it didn't work.
Karaoke's good fun though.
Yeah.
It's good. You've got to have a couple of beers under your belt.
Definitely need some Dutch courage.
Yeah.
Yeah, just got to have the right amount.
Yeah.
Got to be in the zone.
Yeah. I remember going to a karaoke bar in Perth, probably a year or so ago with me mates, just catching up. We didn't do any singing or anything, but one Sheila got up and sang. She finished, and then we thought no one else was singing, so they must have just put some background music on, another song, because no one else was up. But little did we know, there's a dude at the bar sitting down with the microphone with his back towards us, and this guy sounded like it was a play song from a CD or something.
right.
But he was actually the next person in line.
Right.
But he's obviously
shy.
a regular and a singer.
Yeah.
But this guy's voice was, we're just going, fuck, that's a guy singing. It's not a recorded song.
Get the fuck out. No.
Yeah.
No professionals.
That's right, yeah. Nada Surf? Any guys get into Nada Surf?
No.
Had that song Popular? Blonde on Blonde? No, nothing.
No.
No. You'd know it if you heard it.
Yeah. I know the song.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yep. I just.
Yeah. I rated it. I thought it was good. Yeah.
Like I said, each to their own,
Oh, yeah. No, 100%.
That was cool. It's a good song.
Yeah, everyone's got their own taste of music. And like we said, bringing it back to the start, music brings you together. My daughter, thanks, Bub, she's just introduced me to a new band called the Deftones. I never got into the Deftones.
They've been around for a while, eh?
I know.
Yeah.
Since the 90s.
Yeah.
Never really got into them.
Yeah, okay. Are they still going, or is she?
Well, no, she's just
older?
because she's learning guitar.
How come she's into the Deftones?
Well, there's a song that she loves, and she plays the riff. We bought her an electric guitar for her birthday, and so she's just playing the riff to this song. I can't remember the name of the song, but the album, the songs from the album White Pony.
Pony is a classic.
Yeah, I never really got into it. So she's introduced me. Here's my 17-year-old daughter introducing me to a band that started back in the 90s.
Change.
Awesome.
Change in the House of Flies is their big one off that album.
Yes, it is. Yeah, that's one of the songs that I like. There's a song called Digital Bath or something.
Digital Bath,
Yeah, I dig that song at the moment. I'd listen to that on the way in.
Yeah, so that would have been 90s.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But pretty cool how these bands.
Guy's voice is amazing.
Yeah, I guess it just shows the power of music made back then.
Yeah.
That generations now, like teenage kids, are listening to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that must make a band like that really proud.
Yeah.
That their music has survived.
Yeah. Test of time stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel like the same iconic sort of stuff's not been made in the same volume now.
Nah.
Totally agree, mate.
I feel like in the 2010s and 2020s, it's just not the same. And I feel like there's not as many like epic bands around.
Yeah.
A lot of soloists and stuff like that.
Yeah.
A lot of sort of like 1 and 2 hit wonders, but I feel like there's not as many just awesome groups, bands that are just around for a long time and just pumping out so many classics.
Yeah.
There's a great Australian band at the moment called Gang of Youths. They're awesome. But you're right. I can't see some of these artists being around for 20 years and making 10 albums.
Well, they're not going to make a classic song or a classic album that you're going to listen to again in 20 years.
Yeah.
I feel like, exactly right.
You know what I mean? It's
not going to be a room full of old dudes sitting around reminiscing about fucking music from 30 years ago in 2050 talking about the 2020s.
No.
I don't reckon.
Nah.
I mean, we've got a long way to go. Maybe music really picks up from 2023 through 2030, but...
I find that music is unfortunately got the same thing as movies. So it's all about reproducing. It's something that's already been done, and they're just reproducing a similar sound. So that's why kids who will listen to a song that's come out last week and with us, and we'll know the lyrics to it because it's a song that came out back in the 80s or 90s, but it's just been rehashed.
Well, the TV show Stranger Things had that Kate Bush song.
Yeah.
And that Kate Bush song was number one.
Yeah.
A couple of, I don't know, might have been a year or so ago.
Yeah.
Released in the 80s.
Yeah.
And is number one 30 odd years later, 40 years later nearly.
Yep.
Yeah, crazy.
Yep. Yeah, it's sad. And I guess that's just why kids, like my daughter, is going back to the Deftones.
Yeah.
A 1990s band.
Yep.
What else do they have that gives them that? Yeah, I don't know.
The Deftones were quite an obscure 90s band. Like
they
to be
definitely
in that
weren't
genre of
definitely had that grunge sound, that high, the low.
Grunge,
Yeah. Because that was the thing about grunge. That's what attracted people to it, wasn't it? It goes up to a crescendo, and then it's like a wave. Ebbs and flows, and that's why the sound appeals.
But you can see how it evolved from everything else.
Yep.
Even heavy metal of the 70s, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, those kind of ones, that evolved into, you can see how that evolution of 30 years of music went. Grunge, then it kind of went into punk, pop punk kind of.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. So has the evolution of music stalled?
I don't know. Or is it pop? Is it just it's just a lot of pop music?
Yeah.
So I mean, if you look at what we were listening to on Triple J in the 90s and 2000s, it was a lot of rock. Maybe that's what was cool at the time. But if you listen to what is on Triple J at the moment, most of it is pop music that sounds like pop music of the 90s, Spice Girls, Backstreet, that kind of stuff that nobody wanted to talk about. No, that's commercial. That had their place on commercial radio. But now, I mean, there's a few rock bands going around. Nothing But Thieves, another one. They're really good from the UK. Gang of Youths. But most of it, I would say, if I'd turn the radio on, I thought I'd be listening to a commercial radio station.
Yeah.
With 80% of the stuff that's on.
Yeah.
Triple J in the 90s was awesome.
Yeah, it was.
Into the 2000s, now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't listen to
But
it
is
at all
it-
now.
but is it
I was
just-
only Triple J through the 90s. Like, it's just where all the good music was.
Yeah,
Whereas
same.
now I wouldn't even bother.
Well,
But
it's
I
all
mean-
like
And
ABC
they're very,
owned, mate.
they're very
ABC,
political now as well.
yeah.
And they play a lot of Australian stuff, which is good, obviously.
Yeah.
But
But is that
maybe
what,
maybe a little bit too much.
we're not the target demographic anymore?
No, we're not. No,
So
100%.
maybe that's
Yeah.
what people are
Yeah.
listening to. You
Yep.
know, and that's
Yep.
cool. You know, whatever.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people listen to Triple J in the 90s. Like, I feel like most young people were listening to Triple
Yeah.
J.
Yeah.
Oh, do you
I don't know
remember?
if that's the case now.
Yeah.
I think it probably is. We're just out
Do you
of
reckon?
touch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
maybe.
probably.
Yeah.
I remember the Hottest 100
Oh,
on Australia Day was the culmination of.
I mean, they don't
Of a
even
year of
recognise
music.
Australia Day anymore. So
Yeah.
Triple J.
See, that's when I switched off from Triple J when they stopped the Hottest 100 on Australia Day,
Yeah.
and they put it on the following Saturday. I said, nah, fuck off. You're becoming political. You're trying to make a point. I'm not interested. I just want music, and I want it on a day that I've got off.
Yep.
And I'm having a couple of beers to
Yeah,
celebrate
exactly. Yeah.
Australia Day, my
Just
country
doing it on
day.
the random, like, next weekend or the next day or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
doesn't have the impact.
The first fleet didn't even land on the 26th of January. Did you know?
No.
that?
Yeah.
It was like August sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But that was just the day that was agreed upon that was going to be the National Day of Celebration. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that's why we chose that day. Anyway.
yeah. And then you
topic.
have all these fucktards coming up with Invasion Day and shit like that. And that's when I first heard that term on Triple J.
yeah.
You know how they have callers call in on the Hottest 100 Day, and they say, "Oh yeah, well here we are celebrating Invasion Day." And it's like, fuck you, man! Like you wouldn't be able to listen to your radio and
Yeah.
have some beers with your friends and a barbecue in your backyard if it wasn't for our country. So fuck off with your Invasion Day.
History is what it is.
Triple
I suppose.
J,
There's nothing much.
or not Triple J, but like music and stuff in general in the 90s was a little bit about like rebellion and, you know, there's a bit of counterculture and subculture. Now it's all about fucking political correctness
Yeah.
Yeah,
and being offended.
But that's
Yeah.
what music should have been. That's what music's been, you know, for the last 50 years.
Yeah.
Is rebellion and
Yeah.
but there's that classic
good
scenario
music,
just
yeah.
happened a month ago. That country western singer in the US, he made a song about like you don't do it in our backyard or something. So it was basically just like targeting like rioting and violence during protests and stuff. So you do it in our backyard. You do it in our backyard, and you know you'll get your just desserts sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so then that song, the Country Music Association of America, they cut off his song. They wouldn't play it because they said it was racist.
Yeah.
And so
country music said it's racist.
yeah. And so all these media
Straight
outlets
up.
jumped on board saying that he's targeting minority groups. But it was nothing about that at all. He didn't even mention the word race or black or white in the song. But they just made this connection to it about, you know, BLM or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, funny enough, though, the song went to number one because it got so much. It just bit him on the ass. It got so much publicity and play
But isn't that
that it
funny?
hit number one.
Because you imagine some of the songs of yesteryear and what it would take for one of those songs to get banned. I could never remember a song being banned, no matter what it was. Like Rage Against the Machine, Killing in the Name
Remember,
of, you know,
like Fuck the Police got a fair bit of flack back in the day.
yeah. But it still got played. They didn't ban it.
But they came out. Remember they
Some
had
radio
that,
stations did.
Remember they did some appearance somewhere. Like they did some show and they got warned, like, don't play it.
Yeah.
And they
That's
came out on
right.
stage and they played it and it fucking rocked out. And
Yeah.
then there was big repercussion afterwards. Like
Yeah.
that was more like music, sort of not being scared of
Stick
like,
it to the man. That's
no,
what
our
music
curfew
was.
is here. We better go. Or, you know, I don't want to offend anybody. It's like, fucking hell, like,
Yeah, rock and roll, man.
fucking rock out a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a bit loose.
Yeah. He was one of the ones. He's turned
He was
down
on
a few
Rogan
moves.
and
Yeah.
on Rogan and Tucker a couple of weeks ago. He's an interesting guy.
Yeah.
What's he doing? He was promoting something, wasn't he?
I'm not
Writing
sure.
Like a book, maybe? Or
Yeah.
He was
Pretty chilled
promoting
out.
something.
Pretty chilled out. Dude.
Yeah.
He was talking about missing out on movies because he didn't want the vax.
That's right.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Turned down a couple of movies,
Yeah.
9 mil
Okay.
and something.
Yeah, he did. That's right.
He'd be minted anyway.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. No, good on him.
Be great to be able to turn down a 9 mil.
I'm pretty good. Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
Oh, you got to stand for what you believe in, eh?
Ideally.
But
Otherwise,
he
what's the
did
point?
say in a song, fuck the police, and then has played a policeman in several movies. I don't know.
You know, rebellious youth, and at that time in LA, there was shit going down
Oh,
between
man,
the police
yeah.
and
There
the
was a
black
lot of
community.
shit going down.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
yeah,
The
exactly.
Rodney King beating and all that.
Unwarranted, yeah.
Yep.
You know, and young black dudes were rightly pissed off, and
it spoke to people.
Yeah,
that's what music is supposed to do, isn't it? It's supposed to speak to you and send you a message, and
sounds that convey emotion.
There we go.
It's a good way to finish.
I think, and a perfect sound that conveys emotion is our air guitar rift.
Rift.
Bring it
out
on.
there.
See you, boys.
Good stuff.